Ready? We're good. All right. Welcome this afternoon. My name is Phil Fitzpatrick. There we go. I'm an associate professor at Bellevue University in Bellevue, Nebraska. It's just south of the field where they play the College World Series. So if you kind of know where that is, that's where I'm from. I've been in IT since about the 5th grade. Going back, and when I say IT, I was part of the school that got one computer that everybody shared for about 3 or 4 years before we actually got some PCs in there. So we actually came to this from the beginning, or at least I did. I've held jobs in a lot of different things in the IT world. I used to be working for the Gallup organization in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I did everything from coding to programming to project management to survey writing. Went over to the management side and worked for a computer learning center, did a general manager job there. I was a Microsoft certified trainer for them. And then I went over into teaching. So I've done that lately, the teaching and the social media, only for the last 15 years. So that's what I've been doing, and that's kind of where I kind of came into what I'm going to speak about today. There's supposed to be 2 of us here. Ron Werner was the other one that was supposed to be here, but he had some family commitments, so he bowed out at the last minute. So he said, "You can do it," and I said, "Thank you very much." So anyway, we had an idea that we needed to talk about, and he wanted to present the reason why we should teach hacking to high school students. And I talked to him about it, and I said, you know, really, it's not just hacking that we need to teach them. There's a big disconnect on what high school students are learning and what they should be learning. And I got this because I'm the director of our Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology at the university, and I basically built it for certifications so people can get certifications, use them for their degree program. And I'm not trying to sell Bellevue University on anything. You know, I don't care where you go to school. Most of you are already done. So I'm not doing that to talk about that, but that's kind of where my background went. Now, since we're talking about schools, I thought that I would have to use some type of sample district to just give you an idea of kind of where they are and where they're set up. So I'm using the Millard Public Schools in Omaha. My older son, who's 19 now, he's a sophomore in college. My younger son is 15. He's going there as a sophomore in high school. So he's part of that school system. We have 25 elementary schools, 6 middle schools, and 4 high schools. One of them is a kind of a troubled high school where people, if they don't, make it in the regular 3, they go over to the other school. In that high school system, we have 14 honors courses, 16 international baccalaureate diploma courses, 23 advanced placement courses, but no advanced courses in IT at all. And it's kind of funny because my son, who now is a sophomore in college, I kind of wondered why he didn't take something like that, because I knew I could help him with it at least and get through high school with that. And he said there's nothing offered, so he had to take AP Stats or AP Math of some type. So that's kind of where that district is. For a student to earn enough credits to graduate, they need 230 credits, and of those they come into 40 credits of English, and each credit is a 5-credit block, so one English class is 5 credits. And if you look at all of these, and you look especially at the technology, they're only required to take 5 credits, which is 1 class of technology to graduate from high school. Now, that's not representative of every district. In fact, I'm sure somebody could raise their hand and say, well, my district doesn't do that, but a good share of them do. And a lot of times they'll say technology/business, meaning that they can take a typing class and call that their technology class, and they have enough credits to graduate. Now, the problems that we have, there's about 5 problems, and probably most of these you kind of know. The public understands that most jobs out of high school, especially if they want a career, has some part of IT in it. And because of that, we think that that's getting trained, but it's not. Technology, because it changes so fast, parents, at this point at least, they hand off their kids about 6th grade and say, here, teach them the rest of what they need for life. I've taught them up till here, but when you hit middle school, we expect the teachers to do that. And I do it too. I mean, I'm as bad as anybody else. I think, I don't need to teach English to my son anymore. I don't need to do this. They can do that. But the problem is technology is brought into that group. Homeschools are good. They have the same stringent standards for graduation. The problem is, in 2 cases, or at least two areas, one of them is that teachers don't have to be certified. Since they're not paid teachers, they don't have to be certified in anything. They can just say, I want to be a homeschool teacher. And that's, I'm not saying that homeschool teachers are bad. It's not. There's a lot of great ones out there. We just saw a presentation with Rachel 2 presentations ago where her dad was up here and he homeschooled her. He's an IT person, so she's learning the IT stuff at home, but that's one student. All the rest of them maybe don't have that same possibility. So that could be a problem. The other thing with homeschooling is the fact that because they can change or move their own curriculum, they can do that kind of variable curriculum to where they can say, well, business classes and technology will kind of move them together, or we'll kind of teach them how to use Word and Excel, and that's good enough. And maybe that is good enough, but on the college side of things where I'm standing, it doesn't seem to be that way. Second problem, high schools are trying to answer the call for more IT workers by adding technology courses. They're trying to do the right thing, but the problem is there's only so many hours in a day. And classrooms, because of the number of classes they already offer, the variety of classes, it doesn't always give them the opportunity to add those classes in there. The No Kid Left Behind is still out there. Even though it's not really new, it wasn't new when they called it No Kid Left Behind. It was just a rehash of an earlier educational program back from the late 70s. But because of that, there's a potential to dumb down our classes, or at least put it down to the lowest denominator so everybody gets the same information. And the problem is the students that can take more information aren't getting it because they don't have to. Number 3, if they work with the if we build it, they will come mentality. It's like the Field of Dreams that they have there, but schools a lot of times will say, okay, we need more technology classes, so they put 5 more technology classes out there. But they're not always the ones that the kids flock to, because they put out applications, and then they put out Java, and they put out programming of another type, and then they'll put out web design. So guess which ones the kids are going to take? Web design and applications. The easiest ones for their GPA. Sometimes they have an idea what they think is a sexy name, and it usually isn't, because the person that's deciding what it should be called, it isn't in the mainstream where kids are. So they don't really know what the buzzwords are that will get kids involved. Just adding robotics or adding something into a programming class all of a sudden makes this class, just blow up with the number of students that want to play. So it's something that you can do. And then there's, of course, the minimum requirements, and we'll talk more about that as we get to it. Number 4, high schools are concerned with getting students ready for college. I did a look at a study, and this is what educators think, that these were their 10 top things that they thought kids should have. Reading, writing, arithmetic, basically. Writing, communicating effectively, questioning, being resourceful, accountable, knowing how to learn, thinking critically, and being happy. None of those are bad. Those are all great. I would want both my kids to do that. But the problem is when you put that up there, it doesn't leave room for technology. And the problem is most jobs cover technology in some way or form, and they're not getting that. Logan LaPlante, I put that down there. He has a YouTube of a TED Talk he gave. A little kid about this high gave this TED Talk for about 16 minutes, I think it was, about hacking happiness, or hacking school is what he called it. But basically it was, how do you make yourself be happy? Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's it doesn't always get the end result that we need. Now, why don't they already have those life skills? Well, first of all, they don't want to look dumb. They don't want to try and fail. So kids a lot of times will gravitate away from things that are hard. Whenever my kids have problems in school, the first two things they say is, the teacher's stupid. The other thing they say is, it's really hard. And I usually come back with, the teacher's not stupid, because I'm a teacher and you just called me stupid too. And the other part is, it's only hard if you let it be hard if you don't try. If you try a little bit, yeah, it's going to seem hard. But you've got to find the way to block those. Lack of maturity is a problem. And it's not the fact that every kid is babyish, but they don't always have that critical thinking skill that they need. Technology with gaming and those kind of things is helping, but not to the point where we want them to be at. A lot of them need to be spoon-fed the information and directions. If I had to tell my son a million times how to do something, and if I didn't tell him every single thing along the way, he just won't do it. Now, I could say that's just my son, but he's got enough friends, and they have friends, and I've been around all of them, and they're all the same. It's, well, I didn't know I was supposed to take my laundry down to the laundry room. Well, I told you to take it down there. Well, I didn't know I was supposed to go down and get a laundry basket and go up and get, you have to spoon feed them all the way. Some of them lost that ABC or always be curious attitude. Because of that, and maybe it's the dumbing down of our whole society for entertainment. Maybe that's it. I don't know exactly, but it seems like the curiosity is not there. Now, take that back a second and say if I had to tell my son, here's a new game, the one that just came out, I can't even remember the name of it, but he had to stand in line until midnight to get it. But if he had to spend 3 hours figuring out how to just get in it and play it, oh, heck, he'd do it in a second. But if I said something else, something that wasn't game related, it wouldn't be a different thing. A lot of them don't know the line between what's good and bad, especially in technology. We'll talk about that a little bit more too. And then the last one, teachers at the high school level are overworked, overpaid, or underpaid, sorry. My wife's an elementary school counselor. She would kill me if she heard I said that. They're underpaid and have little or no incentive to work with the students. Now, that's not the same across the board. You could probably say, well, our computer teacher does this or our teacher does that. And a lot of times the academic things, the life skills things, they'll spend a whole bunch of extra time. But they don't always do it in the way of technology because they don't have the current experience or the current technology that they need. Any extra work's usually on their own time, and if you ask a teacher if they have time for something extra, guess what they say? A resounding no. We don't have time for something else. There's seldom a monetary incentive. If there is, it's very little, and if they break it down, and they will break it down for you, by hours that they put into what they would get paid for something extra like that, they'll say my hourly wage is less than minimum wage, so what would you do? And that's our answer back is, I don't blame you. And then lastly, that most teachers don't know enough about hacking or technology to teach it on an educational level. So the problem is that they know what it is. They can do some things, but just sitting through a couple of these seminars that I'm sitting through, they're talking about some of these terms, and I get it. I get most of it, but I don't get the down and dirty stuff. Teachers in the high schools, they don't have time to stay up on that stuff. So they don't want to look stupid in front of their students, just like we wouldn't want to. So what's our answer? Well, our sample high school district is doing this, and when I looked up what they did for their computer framework, I found a document that was dated 2005. That's their latest document. So it's almost 10 years old, but it's basically their framework for computer science, and it's just like a mission statement. Basically, if you don't know how to do something, you create a mission statement. So that's what they did. They completed this computer framework, and they said, okay, this is how we want to teach computers in our high school. And it's great. There's nothing wrong with what they have. The problem is it's just what it is. It's a framework, and they have to follow it. They tried to develop academies for specialized study, which I think is also great. They have it in education, entrepreneurship, finance, health sciences, distribution and logistics, and culinary skills. So if a kid wants to be a cook, they can take classes in high school toward that and actually be better suited for those jobs. Not one of them's in technology. Even the distribution and logistics is about shipping. Basically, that's all it is. So very little technology, if any at all. Now, where we have problems is what they did accomplish. They did accomplish by adding some classes in the technology side of things. They have the computer technology applications, which is actually a business class. They have the introduction to computer science, computer topics, Java programming, and AP computer sciences, basically advanced Java. So they have all these classes, but when I asked, what's the percentage of students that take those classes? She didn't want to give me an answer for the district. And I said, well, is it something you want to keep secret? And she goes, no, it's just, they take whatever they need to graduate. And I said, well, what do they need to graduate? The 5 credits. So I said, would you say a good share of them take the applications class? And she said, yes. And it also rang true because my younger son, who's actually pretty computer literate, said, I've got to take a computer class, but I have to take computer applications before I can take anything else. He already knew it. From grade school, they went through that stuff. And he's been using PowerPoint for 5 years. But he has to take that to go on to another class. So I said, are you going to take another technical class? He goes, nah, probably not. I just need one. So that's a problem that we have. The hurdles that we have, of course, the academies don't answer the shortage of technology knowledge that we need out there. Multiple technology courses are not required, so they don't take them. Students aren't inclined to take courses that don't sound fun. They might take a graphics course in the art side, but they do very little computer work with that. It's more design. Or students are worried about their GPA, which now at this point, we tell them in high school, GPA matters more than anything because you got to get into a good college and get a good scholarship. So that's also a problem that we have. The upside to us, and I'll just call us all technology professionals, is that there's job security. Not as many people going in the market, so we got our jobs. Salary increase for existing technology professionals goes up. It goes up. Educational institutions have more students in basic computer classes because they are not getting it in high school. So that's all the good stuff. The bad thing is the shortage of IT workers that are out there. NSA just sent us an email the other day, said 1,000 to 2,000 open jobs this year that they'll need to fill. And that's all, that's just the NSA that they said they need to fill. Now, talk about a high-end job that you can get for some good money, you can do that, but these kids aren't ready for that. Working hours increase for existing technology professionals because there's not enough people out there. Educational institutions have more students in the entry level, which we said was a good thing. Yeah, on the front end it's a good thing, but they're not prepared for the upper level classes. We have a problem at Bellevue with classes because it's open enrollment. So I could take a 400 level class and never take the 100 level class unless somebody sees and he says, no, the prerec's not there, you can't take that. Well, with 10,000 students, it's hard to catch everybody. Now, there's more downside for the students. College debt's a big one, especially with my sophomore in college. I know what this is. Our average is about $26,000. Nation's average is about $29,000. So 7 in 10 or 70% of our students will have some kind of bill out of college. And if we don't prepare them on the technology side, they're going to go into things that they don't have enough money to pay those bills off. I was listening to the radio the other morning, and a lady got on there, and she was a physical therapist. She said, well, I got my bachelor's degree. That wasn't too bad. Then I got my master's degree. That was another $120,000 that she went into debt. And she was an occupational therapist, I think, at that point. And the guy asked her if she was going to be able to pay her bills. She goes, I pay over $780 a month just in my student loan debt. So we're not preparing the students where we need to. Yeah, who had a question? Why is it important to study and understand information technology? This was the highest rated answer was, I think information technology jobs should be given to managers. Managers help organize talented people together. Basically, they're the backbone of any job. Technology does not have to be understood fully. Now, this was the highest rated answer. there were over 180 answers. This was the highest rated one. Basically, they ended up with good luck. Well, that's kind of where it fell. When I look for the skills that every student should have on the technology side, the ones I left in white up there, the self-learning of tech and where to go for help, hardware basics and troubleshooting and backing up data, those are the kind of things we're not teaching at the high school level. That's if they take those advanced courses. They're not getting those. So what can we do? Now, since I'm a college professor, I can say that I'm going to give you homework. And our best thing would be if the high school would fix it, because then we can turn them over in 6th grade and never have to worry about it. That's probably not going to happen, but this is one thing we can do. We can talk to somebody in charge and say, keep your intro to applications course, but make sure that everybody has to take it. And it's not a requirement for graduation, except for it's a requirement for being in school. They have to know that. And then multiple foundation courses are created, and they have to take all of them. Now, you can decide what you want to do, but things in software and hardware management and configuration and maintenance, running client and server operating systems, all that stuff are basic foundation things that every student should know going into college. Now, some people might say, well, that's just a little bit heavy-handed. Well, ask the person that has to go out and get a job as a therapist or get a job and they have to use a big computer system and they don't know exactly how to do it because they've never had to. Then the on-the-job training is huge. I just stopped in at our First Data Resources there in Omaha. They do a lot of the credit card billing. And the guy said, well, we need to train people in this, this, and this, and this. And I said, okay, we can probably do that. And he says, well, no, we need to do on-the-job training because we specialize in this, this, and this. And I said, well, how much on-the-job training do you do? And we do all of it. Well, they have somebody trained for months and months before they get, in the field and doing things. And we could potentially help that out. Multiple advanced courses then can be created. And then if people want pre-college credit or specialization, they can do that. But getting real, that's not going to happen. And I put the Albert Einstein quote up there, doing the same thing over and over again is expecting different results is the part of insanity. Well, that's one thing that we're doing over and over. So with great power comes great responsibility, and that's for the students and for us. In the real world, we can fix part of this. Part of this is mentoring, getting out there and mentoring students, either a one-on-one or a whole classroom. Teachers would love it, but it takes the IT professional to call them up and say, hey, I know this, I can come to your class and explain it to you. And they'll say, okay, which class day do you want to come? And they don't have any problem with that. Competitions are a big one. We're running a couple competitions here at this DerbyCon, but there's a lot of them that are out there. Students love to do competitions, but you have to help them get there because teachers will not automatically get there. We had 4 students at Bellevue East that won their competition last year, and this year their teacher said, oh, I don't have time to do it, so they're not doing any competitions. So we have to get in there and help mentor those. Students at that point become the teacher and help their parents and do that. We can do that by offering case studies, helping them apply for grants. And then there's different competitions. The FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, have a computer security competition. The Cyber Patriot competition, I'll give you more information about that because I'm about out of time here. And the AITP has a local conference that they do a cybersecurity competition. All of these are good ones to help them with, but high school students need your help. So if you have the time or want to make the time, just making a couple phone calls and helping give your expertise off is what's going to help the next step on our system. All right, back at the end here, I just have some information about Cyber Patriot, but the thing I want to get to you is the links. At blogs.bellevue.edu/cybersecurity, we have some documents on different things about that. Then we also have links to some of the competitions and those kind of things. If you ever need anything or if you want to add to the blog, just go to blogs.bellevue.edu/cybersecurity, and we'll get your information on the blog, and hopefully we can match you with local high schools or districts to be able to do that. Any questions? Yes. No question. One question? All right. I'll answer questions out in the hallway. Thanks. Sorry. Thanks.